so happy to be here with Peter Sarsgaard. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Looking different today. We're going to get to that in a second. But your new show, Interrogation, premieres Thursday the 6th on CBS All Access. And I'm real into the show. It is based on an actual case, a true
inspired.
Sorry,
just,
I know what are those words? It's
inspired
like
by.
Inspired by a case of a kid or a young man who is accused and incarcerated for killing his mother, and then it's basically the series tells different stories from, different interrogations.
Different points of view.
Different points of view, like a slightly Rashomon kind of thing. And you play the detective who's out to get him. Ish.
Yeah.
Or just the detective.
I think, I really keep stressing to people that this is like this guy's first case. So it's that feeling of wanting to hit a home run your first time up at bat. So what is it to be a good homicide detective? Is it, it's to draw conclusions. It's to find a story. This was actually, I talked to some homicide detectives before I did the show, and one of them kept telling me this is a little bit like being an actor. Like, you as an actor have 6 scenes in a movie that are significant that are going to tell a story. And they're disparate. You create a story out of those 6 things. I walk into a room, the stove is warm, the blood goes up the side of the wall, there are no sheets on the bed, whatever, and I tell a story from all those disparate things. So this is like just what you do. And so when I first started doing it, I was really thinking like that. I really wanted to think, oh, I'm a storyteller. And then you start reading the script, and it's very personal also for this guy because of the nature of the crime. And, he brings a lot of his own background into it, just as we all do. And I'd say that's sort of the current atmosphere of this country lesson. Whatever your entry point is in terms of understanding what's happened is going to determine the way that you see it and your opinion about it. And, we're just with the internet and with so many different entry points and portals available, people are coming in from all these crazy different directions and understanding simple facts in incongruous ways. So
it's also just so telling. It's the episodes, by the way, CBS All Access says you can watch them out of order. It's kind of like be your own detective and see if you can put this together of who did what. I've watched about half of them. Now I have you watched them in and out of order? And
I've only watched them in the if you don't do anything,
right,
it gives you an order.
That's what I did. Yes. We're so not risk takers, are we?
Yeah, I think that's okay though. I think that's probably the way that the show was put together, and I don't know because I've not seen it in any other way.
So you shot it all consecutive, or
we didn't. We would shoot 2 episodes at the same time, and they were never consecutive episodes. So it would be we'd be shooting 1 in 3 or 2 in 4, and so in terms of understanding the narrative, because everything was coming piecemeal too, I didn't have the full 10 episodes. I was acting in a way that was not like I would in a movie where I go we're in the middle of the story, it's like this, the audience knows this, it doesn't know that. When I play this scene, I'm going to go that way. It's a different exercise.
It was heartbreaking to see your character, David Russell, the detective, just to see not just what you mentioned about the portals, how people, where you get your information and then what you bring to a case from that, but what personal biases or whatever it is, trauma or, points of pride or whatever it is.
Cognitive dissonance, a lot of it is I'm already this so far down this road and it's your first big case. How can I say, I think I completely fucked up?
Right.
It was very interesting to play somebody who was unwilling to really analyze his own actions, which I think is another thing that's really worth thinking about right now. Is like, there are certainly people in positions of power where we go like, how can that person still be thinking? For me, I think of like a Senate Republican like Lindsey Graham. I go, how could he stay on that track?
Blackmail.
Because someone, blackmail. Something, right? But my mind tries to understand it, and I go like, oh, it's like he just started leaning to the right, and before he knew it, he was gone. And then when you're that far gone, you're like, I can't even see the shore from here.
It's real.
I might as well just stay out here. I'm not going to try to swim back. I don't even know where the coast is,
And even, you could apply it to that also. It's also like, what do you, with politicians, maybe they have to answer to, what their party is going to think. But I think this character in many ways he has to answer professionally, but he also feels a deep need to answer to his legacy, to his father, to his wife, to his child. I mean, there's a lot of things going on that drive his decision.
You can't admit you made a mistake because of the need to be perfect, and when you do fall off, you fall way off, and you can't even admit it to yourself. I think this character in the end ends up pretty scandalous, but like, I never had to think about that, right? It was just like, I was trying to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to be the best. This is what the best does. And I see that I know this guy, I know this is right. And I know what I did is right because I'm efficient and I do it right.
Yeah.
And now I have to kick this piece of evidence over that way.
Yeah. And even when people are kind of calling you out, like
it's
in the
this.
Yeah. It's kind of, yes, it's like I think everyone does things like that to an extent. I mean, I certainly do. Not like.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of
people.
the good qualities, I have plenty of others, but that I've had professionally is to be interested in my own mistakes. You know what I mean? And acknowledge them.
Do you rewatch stuff that you've done?
I don't rewatch it, but
Okay.
I certainly think about it. I barely watch what I do. I'm, people drag me in kicking and screaming to watch what I do because in a way I think it's not pertinent. I go like, well, next time, the lesson I'm always telling myself is next time, tell them what you think.
Them being the director and the producer,
or the
audience?
producer, the writer.
Uh-huh.
Not the audience.
Mm-hmm.
The director, the producers, the writers, the other creatives, the wardrobe. The first person you interact with creatively as an actor is the wardrobe person. They fly you out there. You get driven to the wardrobe place. The director's not there. It's you and them deciding what this person's going to wear.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times early on as an actor, I would just be like, I'm not prepared to make this decision. Can we say he wears a uniform? Can we say he just dresses like everybody else? And then later, I would need to speak up and be like, now that I've worked on it more with the director, I actually think he wears short shorts most of the time. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is.
And then are you labeled as like that difficult
guy? Because I'm not prepared to figure it out right away.
Mm-hmm.
So I put like a placeholder.
Mm-hmm.
And, but yeah, to be able to come back around to things is always good.
I'm here with Peter Sarsgaard, who stars in Interrogation, which premieres Thursday, February 6th on CBS All Access, and it is so good. And I know, like you said, this is inspired by a case.
Yeah.
Did you read anything about the case it was inspired by or the character who inspired you?
Yeah, but I did, not in great depth because I knew for various reasons that wouldn't be what we were. I did if it helped me.
Mm-hmm.
If it didn't help me, I disregarded it. Honestly, this homicide detective that I talked to on the phone several times was really helpful because at one point his partner had to leave to go to a crime scene. It was like someone had just been murdered.
Yeah.
And just to hear, it's only a very subtle tone shift, right? It's now like I'm talking to you on the clock is ticking, so I got like 5 minutes now, and then I'm going into the zone. This reminds me of I was going to run a 10K race, and my wife and kids were in the car, and I don't run many races, but I jog a lot.
Hmm.
And my wife was like, on the car drive on the way over there, something was happening to you. And I used to be an athlete, and I was like, yeah, I've gone in. I'm sure I wasn't doing anything, but I was thinking.
Hmm.
And I did pretty well in the race because I'm very competitive that way. And I think that's what happens with a homicide detective like this who's seasoned. It's not like they go, oh, 3 people were murdered.
Right.
They're like, 3 people were murdered.
Yeah.
Talking to an actor on the phone. This is going to take another 3 minutes, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
just going to say this, and now I'm going to actually I'm not running.
Yeah.
So just that sense. And then to add to that, I'm playing a newbie who does go, oh, 3 people were murdered.
Yes.
You know?
All right. Why is your head shaved like this? And I heard you said you shaved in your own backyard, which is both impressive and.
It was hard. It was hard to shave.
Did you
your own head.
hold up a mirror? Like how does one?
I felt with my hand.
Okay.
So
Do you start from the back, front?
I did that some of the time. I went always.
Uh-huh.
I
Electric or straight edge?
Electric clipper. I called my friend Andrew about a week ago, who has a shaved head for the last 30 years. And he told me the model to get, the size clipper, because I said I want it like your head.
Uh-huh.
And it's and then I told them on the movie, like, it's this clipper on this thing,
Uh-huh. And then what was the response from your family when they saw you with a shaved head? Because you look super different.
My girls just like to feel it.
Right.
They're
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
tactile.
Yeah.
And they're also so used to
stubble's the
me
best.
changing.
Yeah.
They more get upset when I shave my beard because this means I haven't worked. This is how long I've not worked for, right? Like the length of my beard only has to do with how long I've not worked for. When I go to work, I usually shave.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare that I play a bearded person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a fashion choice. And I actually thought of the shaved head as neutral. It's like the other time I had a shaved head was in The Killing.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it because I thought, oh, this is great. It's my dream job. I'm playing someone who's in jail, doesn't get to pick their own clothing. So the clothing is prescribed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make a shaved head so that I don't have to go into the hair department in the morning and decide on a hairstyle. Like, it's a shaved head in an orange jumpsuit. So now character is going to have to do with something else, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's not neutral. But I keep thinking of I might have scared my director. I said, I'm really, really interested in Gordon Liddy right now, thinking about Gordon Liddy. Watergate then became an actor. What was happening there? Who the hell is that guy?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm I end up throwing a lot of things onto the pile, and in the end, Gordon Liddy will fall at the bottom and just become.
But it got you to the next place, which is.
Yeah, but I'm not
Wherever
gonna
that
look.
is.
Yeah, I don't know.
So that movie, of course, is the Batman. I'm sure you can't talk about it on any level. Like, your name is officially in the IMDb as
Oh, cool.
District Attorney Gil Colson.
Okay.
Which immediately because everyone thought, of course, you were playing Harvey Dent, Two-Face, and then all of these theories have now popped up about who Gil Colson is. Have you read any of those?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't know any of them.
Okay.
I'm curious. What
Right.
it like?
Well, I guess one theory would be that Gil Colson is Harvey Dent, and he is. We will find out that because both obviously district attorneys, and we will find out that he actually is at some point.
Wow.
Care to
Cool.
comment?
Very interesting.
Another theory is that Matt Reeves came up with a whole new character in the same way that Todd Phillips did with Joker. He's
very
kind of
Matt Reevesian.
Yes, it would be very Matt Reevesian, the director, and this guy is someone totally different.
Well, I have to say, Matt Reeves. I've been around some big shows like this and seen the way that it can both go well and not go well.
Mm-hmm.
It is so nice to have someone at the helm who is just utterly in control, because it's like being a CEO artist.
Yeah.
You got to have both things. And no, it's been a real pleasure. He's really I'm the type of person, like I said, where I can't be held to what I first said to you. Like if I first say like, this guy is definitely a duck, everything just right off his back, nothing sticks to him. And the next time I'm like, I don't know, I really think I'm playing like Jesse Helms, He just has to forget the first thing, or add it, or not worry about it, or just let me talk. And he's been very good that way.
Oh, I love also, I read something you did an interview, and you compared the set, or just in general, the tone of the film to the Pixies.
It felt, when I've been around it, it's just felt like, when I think of the Pixies, I think of like a song like I Bleed, and just the raw power of the Pixies, where even people I know that don't like dissonant music of any kind, that are pure like Paul McCartney people.
Wings or Beatles?
Wings, Paul McCartney even. I think somehow find a way into the Pixies, right?
Yeah.
I got a broken face.
Yeah, you can get in like almost like a surfer way-ish.
Oh, yeah,
and you can get in from,
Oh, it's so raw in that way.
Is there something exciting just in general about, regardless, of saying anything about this character, of just like being in a Batman movie? Was that like a childhood thing for you? Like, was he your character? Or
my childhood thing is I would have wanted to play Pele, which for many reasons I was never going to get cast as Pele.
Like the soccer player Pele?
The soccer player Pele, yeah. I have one autograph, actually,
of Pele
that I own, and I have Pele's autograph.
How did you get it?
My wife gave it to me.
Oh, as a present?
Yeah, because she knows I just was like Pele obsessed. Partly because, I don't know, this is like some sort of weird childhood connection, association. Peter, the way that I would first write it in cursive, I took Pele's P, right? And he did like a full loopy thing like that, right? And then he did E-L-E. Well, I am Pete, I would write, but I would make the line across the T very light.
Yeah.
So it looked a lot like Pele's autograph.
And did you loop your T, the part of your T?
I did. I did. It was loop, loop. And so I knew his autograph from the time I was little.
Were you Pete or were you Peter? Always?
I was Pete when I was a kid, and actually people who knew me all the way up into high school. Actually, I was John in Oklahoma, because I lived so many different places that I would frequently say, like, my name's JP. Or, my middle name is Peter. So obviously I didn't start out, I'm John Peter. I'm like a pope.
You are like a pope.
I'm very pope-like, yeah. Actually, my mother-in-law has been wanting to write a movie where I would play Thomas Merton, which I think says a lot about who my mother-in-law thinks I am.
That's wonderful. Oh my God, can you imagine the stress of acting your mother-in-law is obviously a wonderful writer, but acting in a script that your mother-in-law wrote, like
I've done it.
When did you do it?
Very Good Girls.
Oh.
She asked me to do this movie with her where it was with Dakota and Fanning. And I had a scene with her. Not only was my mother-in-law directing it and had written it and everything, but I had a sex scene, because I was like, my mother-in-law's directing a movie, I'm doing it, And it didn't occur to me that, I'd have to actually have a sex scene with Dakota in front of my mother-in-law. So what I did was, this is very professional, is I said, I'm just going to drop out of frame. It's going to be on the two of our heads. Then I'm going to drop out of frame, and you're going to make a series of faces that are going to indicate something's going on. I'm going to be at craft services having a cup of coffee while they film that.
And was she okay with that direction?
She was psyched.
Okay.
She was wondering what we were going to do also, and I was like, it's going to be really great. I'm going to be doing that down there, but really I'm not down there.
Yeah, I'm having coffee.
I'm having coffee.
That is...
So yes, I've acted for my mother-in-law, and she's a fantastic writer. So
yeah.
And I obviously love... I'm very Catholic and was an altar boy, and Thomas Merton to me was like what John Lennon is to a lot of other people like to me. He was like the radical who had like an affair during his vow of silence, who was maybe murdered. I mean, it's all like super exciting, and wrote like controversial stuff about the church. I was super into him.
Is this possibly your next project?
I would totally love her. If someone wants to give us some money for the Thomas Merton movie, call 1-800
JP
Thomas Merton. Yeah.
JP Sarsgaard. I love it. Well, Interrogation is so great. It premieres Thursday, February 6th on CBS All Access. Watch it in whatever order you want.
Yeah,
I keep telling you at the beginning.
Save 10.
Right. Yes. Exactly. And then of course the Batman coming. What, next year? Are you still shooting it?
I start the 8th of
Okay.
this month, and actually I'm acting in a movie that my wife is directing and wrote, where I have an affair, so I'm going to have to do that.
Oh, and did she think of you for that?
You know, she didn't want
Your wife, of
me
course,
to
is
play
Maggie
it at first,
Gyllenhaal,
but
but-
she was like, but I was thinking of you the whole time. I wrote every male character in it, so I was going to play another part, and then it was just very clear that I should play this one for a number of reasons, and I think it'll be really great. I think it's you know, that sort of stuff is very technical as an actor anyway.
Right.
So it's not, I mean, I joke about it, but like, I've always treated it as a technical thing where we have to find the meaning, the acting. Nobody just wants to watch a sex scene. They want to watch something happen.
Right.
You want to watch a sex scene, you go on the internet. So like,
Is that where you go?
apparently. So apparently, no, but I think even more so now that we have the internet
Right.
is that sort of perverse outlet for just that stuff. Movies no longer need to shoulder that. Nobody's watching it for that.
Right.
So that's the intimacy can be more evolved and more interesting, you know.
She's a really good director. I bet I mean, this is your first time being directed by her?
Yeah. And it's with Olivia Colman, and Jessie Buckley, and Dakota Johnson. So, and it's an Elena Ferrante novel called The Lost Daughter. So.
Elena Ferrante. I talked to Maggie about it. Now this is all coming back. Elena wrote her a letter.
Elena
Or
wrote
she
her
wrote
a
her-
letter in the Guardian newspaper that was about artistic freedom and why she was giving Maggie all this power.
Yes, and how and Maggie, I remember Maggie telling me she didn't want to direct it. She just wanted to produce it, and she was like, "I'm only letting you do it if you direct it."
Yeah.
I love
so-
that story. I love your wife. Well, I can't wait for that. That is going to be wonderful. Peter Sarsgaard, thank you so much for joining me.